Hey, Libra. Welcome to your June reading. I'm excited to hear what is coming up for you this month. So, first things first, Spirit said that this is a month for self devotion, to spend some time giving yourself some loving attention. Feels like for some of you, you've just been through kind of like a long, arid stretch of your journey. Maybe you've just like had a bit of a difficult time, or like you were finishing up some major project, or you were getting through some big transition. It's kind of like, wow, whew, you completed the race, right? Proverbially. So breathe, like sit, breathe, give yourself some water, give yourself some rest. It's time, again, not just for like recovery, but for self devotion, as Spirit said. So, is there anywhere that maybe you've been like neglecting yourself, or just craving a little bit more like indulgence, maybe even craving a little bit more like attention to your physical appearance or your physical body, right? Like maybe you need to schedule a massage, maybe you need to bring home some body oil from the grocery trip and like tend and give yourself some extra love. And I really do feel like the physical body is a huge aspect of that. The image that Spirit was showing me when they were giving me this message was of the Queen of Pentacles. So that's like how they want you to treat yourself. Spirit's funny. Wherever you find yourself on the gender spectrum, Spirit is basically saying treat yourself like a queen. A queen, cares about all of those things. She doesn't let herself get basically like Spirit is like bedraggled or like brought to the ragged edge. You know what I mean? She like tends to herself with a lot of devotion and groundedness. So she would never appear kind of like frantic or harried the way like an air sign can appear. And as a person who woke up looking like Miss Frizzle, I relate. Okay, let's get into your cards, Libra. Holding that as kind of the backdrop of your message, we're going to pull a persona card to see how you are showing up, what Spirit wants to highlight about you for your highest good. And Spirit, we want to get the story of the month around Libra as that protagonist. We want to know what was characteristic of the recent past. What have Libra people been through in the recent past, Spirit? And how has that past been unfolding into the present, Spirit? What is the present or predominant energy for June for Libra? What does the present moment look and feel like for Libra? For their highest good, Spirit, we want to know the truth of where Libra is standing in the month of June and where they are headed, Spirit. What does the unfolding future appear to look like for Libra people based on those past and present choices and circumstances? Okay, and finally, Spirit, want to know what is the energy around Libra people this month? Libra Sun, Libra Moon, Libra Rising, and Dominant people. Want to know what is the what is the climate like? Jumping cards. What is the climate like? How can Libra best navigate the atmosphere in the month of June? Okay, that's there. Okay, thank you, Spirit. Want to know the potential outcome so that Libra can steer clear or steer towards it, depending on how they feel about it. A likely outcome based on these past and present decisions and circumstances, Spirit, for Libra people. A potential outcome in the month of June for Libra. And finally, Spirit, we want to know the key. This knowledge or awareness or action could unlock the month of June for Libra people, for their highest good, Spirit, always for their joy, authenticity, peace, fun, fulfillment, security, ease, always for their highest good. Okay, let's see what we got here, Libra. You are in your element. Oh, you need to show up as a King of Swords. That's a lot of major arcana, Libra. Wow. Well, Spirit just said, it kind of feels like you've been through something and you need to give yourself some loving attention. sitting in your past, Five of Swords, there is that arid, dry stretch of the journey that Spirit was talking about, or maybe just going through something difficult where you felt left out, unseen, unheard, or mistreated. These are the different things that Spirit is saying, okay? Five of Swords is a very nanny nanny boo boo coded card, very immature, very like playing mind games. Something else that Spirit is showing me is like a couple having a fight and one of them like shutting down. You know, in the world of like relational psychology, they call that stonewalling, and it's considered one of the four horsemen of the relationship apocalypse. Okay, so it's like that's not good for anybody. So whether you find yourself on the receiving end of that or potentially even the giving end of that, where you're not thinking, oh, this is a negative, toxic, crappy thing that I'm doing. You're just thinking like, I don't want to talk to them right now. I don't have anything to say to them right now or whatever. But it's like, you could say that and that would be enough. Like, I don't have anything to say to you right now. I'm really upset. We can talk about this blank. Tomorrow, next week, when I'm feeling better, I'll let you know. Don't call me, I'll call you, whatever. But I feel like, again, somebody is stonewalling, and I hope that it's not you. And if it is, take that action. There's no blame, no shame, no judgment. Again, sometimes we do these things without knowing, but sometimes people do know. And sometimes people are manipulating us on purpose and playing games. And again, that is characteristic of the Five of Swords. So whether it's accidental or on purpose, immaturity, don't play games. Walk away, take your ball and go home, cut your losses. I do feel like you are exiting that situation. I feel that a lot of you are searching for something that feels reciprocal, something that feels balanced. That's a gimme, right, for Libra people. But I'm looking at that Six of Pentacles in the guidance position. Giving and receiving, like reciprocity and dynamic balance. If you are wondering if there is something more or better out there for you, and I'm feeling different things, I'm feeling on a very mundane, practical level, something like more money, or at least like a more balanced work life. Like, okay, I want to do a little bit less, or I want to make a little more, but not with doing a whole lot more. I feel like that's available to you. Something where it feels like, I'm getting what I'm worth. But I do feel like it requires the courage to leave the cave. Five of Swords in the past, the present, the Fool, the clean slate, the new beginning. In this version I love, the Fool is walking out of the cave, out of the darkness, away from the Five of Swords and into the light. And so it's kind of like, would much rather face the devil I don't know, quote unquote, than the devil I know of this Five of Swords. I feel like you're just sick of it. That's what I really feel for some of you, is just like, I am so tired of this family dynamic. Like, I would literally rather do anything else. And sometimes that's what it takes to force, especially those of us who are like, these compassionate, conciliatory ass fucking Libras who want to make everybody like be okay and like, come on, like we can all find peace, we can find understanding. Sometimes we can't. And this month, five, the King of Swords, you are coming through as a thought leader. Okay? You're coming through as someone who knows what they're thinking and talking about, and someone who can act decisively. That's really the phrase that Spirit is having me focus on. The King of Swords, they know their shit. If you were a Page of Swords, right? If you were showing up like that, I might be like, ooh, I think you might be maybe you're the one being a little immature in that Five of Swords situation. You coming through as the king has me inclined to think that no, you are actually the one who is going to kind of like act like the bigger person, or you are the bigger person in the scenario. I also want to say you are the more powerful person, and usually people who are playing mind games really don't feel powerful, and that's why they have to play mind games. So rest in your power. I feel like if somebody is trying to draw you into something, like, and this, I'm feeling different things. Like I'm actually like seeing and hearing different things. And so here's one example is like the partner or the family member that picks fights and making this decision that like, I'm just not going to do that this month. I'm just going to be like, no, I'm opting out of that. Like, I'm not getting drawn into like a verbal altercation or whatever it is that I need to do. King of Swords does not go play in the fucking sandbox with the kids. Nanny, nanny, boo, boo. Like, no. That is so far beneath a King of Swords. So act like the king. Act like the leader of your life. What separates a king from even a queen? For example, the queen is more focused on their internal life, whereas the king is more focused on those visible, tangible, and sometimes externalized goals and aspirations. The King of Swords I could see as like a lawyer, a successful writer, a journalist, a truth teller, someone like George Carlin, like a really excellent, incisive stand-up comedian. You have very clear insights, and I think that some of you are going to sever from people pleasing or just people in a way that allows you to be more free with your authentic expression. So claiming your expertise is actually also a phrase that I'm hearing. That's going to like give some of y'all goosebumps because you know that you've been needing to accept like I'm a fucking expert at this. Or I've worked really long and hard at this, and whether I consider myself an expert or even a king, I can fucking acknowledge that I know a lot and that I'm able to accomplish a lot with what I know. That's what I'm hearing. So, armed with that confidence, what big change, and specifically, I'm feeling like a beginning and an ending. The Fool, and sitting in the future, the Death card. So, the Fool, leaving the cave, leaving the darkness, going out in the sun, trying something new, finding out what you're made of, dropping the baggage, right? And the Death card. As you drop the baggage and you allow yourself to start fresh, you may find that there are more things that you need to, Spirit is using the word cull, to cull from your life, to cut, to eliminate, to edit. It's Gemini season, right? King of Swords vibes, right? What do you need to edit out of your life? And I do feel less is more. Less is more, less is more. They're saying that. So it's like fewer things on your to-do list means that you'll get those things really done or done really well. So what do you need to harvest? What do you want to be done with? This is not a tower. That is something that Spirit is being really specific about. This death feels like you purposefully walking up to a door, opening it, and shutting it behind you. Much like this fool leaving the cave. I'm done limiting myself or being limited by the thoughts of others, and armed, like Spirit said, with that confidence of the King of Swords of, I know what I'm doing and talking about, and I bet you that somebody thinks that what I'm doing is really worthwhile, and showing up and walking through the world that way. Something Spirit is saying is one thing some of y'all might need to sacrifice. They referred earlier to like ditching or detaching from people pleasing. It's also like looking perfect in the eyes of others, always being the good girl, boy, man, woman, non-binary icon that you are. In order to be fully yourself, you might have to let versions of yourself that no longer feel like you die. And let yourself play the fool. You know, Spirit said 30 days of self-devotion. When you play with life and when you just move in the direction that feels good to you, it's probably going to lead you to some places where it's like, well, here's what doesn't feel good for me, and here's what I want to really put an end to on purpose, by choice. Because again, a tower would look like, oh, it wasn't my choice. Death is like, I've come to the natural ending of this phase of my life, or engaging in this habit or this way of thinking, and I'm actually going to go ahead and like put it to death and shut this door behind me and embrace, the death card is the Scorpio card. I'm going to embrace the transformation that is occurring in my life because, resistance is futile. Things are changing. You are going through a metamorphosis, sitting in the energy around and available to you, the Hanged One. Everything isn't going to happen at once, but you are already inside of, the cocoon. You are already in the state of transformation. So allow yourself to be in that state. You don't need to force yourself out the door or to launch or to whatever this is. I feel that the more that you explore your own interests, your own thoughts, even like your own words. And when Spirit was talking about editing, like now I'm feeling kind of like they're also being literal, where it's like you have these ideas, you have these projects, these, going over to the key position, the Ace of Wands, these like brilliant inspirations and ideas, and this thing that is like, it's just a spark, but if you were to feed it, it could grow and burn really brightly and really light up your life. I feel like there is some culling. Spirit is talking about how if you've ever made a fire, you can get a spark, get really excited, and make the mistake of throwing a whole bunch of like wood onto it, right? And you can muffle and put out the spark. So that's something that Spirit is saying we want to avoid. We want to create space. We want to, more than anything, devote that, like, that self devotion they were talking about. What does it look like to really lovingly maintain a container for inspiration, for joy, for stuff that lights you up? What does it look like to prioritize the Ace of Wands, the spark of life? What does it look like to do that? It's growing. And it's not going to happen all at once. That's what they're telling me with the Hanged One, okay? So you're in the midst of a transformation. Some of it you haven't even seen the results yet. I feel like some of you, it's like there's some interesting stuff is going to happen this month, but the long-term shift that you've gone through, you haven't even begun to discover how wide and how beautiful and colorful your new wings are, right? Because you're still in the cocoon, you're still in the transformation, and even in that death cycle where, the caterpillar liquefies before it reconstitutes into a whole new being that has all new talents and skills that it couldn't have comprehended before from its worm's eye view, if you've ever heard that spiritual phrase. Looking at the potential outcome, the moon, confusion, the unconscious, our fears, and facing our fears. Now, with the moon, things are not what they seem. And we could get confused. We could wander down a path that seems unfamiliar but turns out to be totally familiar, is something Spirit is saying. So here's what they mean by that. If a person is living kind of unconsciously, they're not really thinking about why stuff happens the way it does, why they do the things they do, why they like and don't like the things they like and don't like, and whatever, they can find themselves living out repeated patterns because they're not bringing a whole lot of mindfulness or consciousness, right? The sun, right? Enlightenment. They're not bringing their conscious to their unconscious. So they're just living unconsciously and going, damn, I ended up dating the same guy again. Damn, I'm turning out just like my mother. Damn, whatever. You know what I'm talking about? No offense, please. If any of you feel personally, Laganja Estranja, very attacked by that, like, that is not the intention. The intention is, hey, if you find yourself back in old habits or familiar dynamics, but they're not desired, bring clarity, bring light, bring King of Swords, like, attention to that. Notice that and wonder about that and get curious about that, like the Fool. Okay? And when you discover, oh, when I do this, it leads me down this path. I need to ditch this habit, or I need to transform the way that I dance with this feeling, or approach my romantic life or my work life or my whatever. Maybe this habit or this addiction, this pattern that I've been in is not working for me and I need to put a conscious stop to it. The world opens up and that reciprocity that you've been looking for becomes like, it comes rolling, is what Spirit is saying with that Six of Pentacles. You are on path. You are on path. The only thing that you could do wrong is to stonewall, as Spirit referred to earlier, to close yourself off, to close your eyes and ears. If you will keep your eyes and ears open to, like, what is showing up and what is it showing me? Acting with curiosity, acting like the Fool. You know, Spirit is funny because on the one hand, they're saying, like, you're the King of Swords. You know a lot. Don't downplay your intelligence or your critical thinking skills or any of that stuff. But also, who make the best teachers? The people who are like, I will never know everything. There's always more to learn and understand and more to grow. That's the fool. And when you put these things together, and it's a butterfly. Spirit's funny. They're like, that's a butterfly. But they're like, that person is wise. It goes beyond intelligent. It's like, you know, the wise man knows that they know nothing, that kind of thing. That's wisdom. So, yes, I know a lot. And also, what do I not know yet? I bet there's stuff I haven't even discovered within myself. And that if I discover it and I transform accordingly, things are going to flow into my life the way that I want them to. That's just what I'm hearing. What do you think, Libra? Let me know if you feel like chatting about it, stories, thoughts, memories, anything that this is bringing up for you. Thanks for listening to your reading, Libra. I really hope it helps. And I hope I catch you at our Sunday live every Sunday at 11 a.m. Central. I read all the signs. Thank you for being here again, Libra. And if I don't catch you there, then I hope I'll catch you in your July reading. Till then, bye, Libra.